Justice Secretary Dominic Raab has told this programme that pensioners who steal because they can't afford the essentials should not be let off the hook.
This comes as supermarkets report an increase in thefts as the cost of living crisis deepens. Here's what he told our political correspondent Louisa James.
I think it is insulting to say to the vast majority of working people up and down this country, including many from humble backgrounds who wouldn't dream of breaking the law, stealing things. I don't think there can be any exemption because of some of the economic challenges. We'll provide the support to see people through tough times, but there's no exemption from the law.
Well, this comes, of course, after the former Chief Constable of Merseyside Police, Andy Cooke, who is the HM Inspectorate of Constabulary, had recently said that police should use discretion when deciding whether to prosecute those who steal. Joining us, two former police officers. Peter Bleksley believes, no, don't prosecute those who steal essentials from shops. Leroy Logan says letting people off does not send the right message. Which is a good point, Peter Bleksley, isn't it? I mean, what are we going to do? Just basically let supermarkets become sort of open to people who just want to pop something in their pocket?
Tensions on the streets are rising. Millions of people can't pay their bills, can't feed themselves and their children. The nation is in the grip of a crisis. I was in a supermarket last week. Man in front of me stole something, security guard stopped him, took the goods from him, and the man went on his way.
Didn't say we're going to haul you in front of magistrates.
Didn't call the police, so that person didn't enter the criminal justice system. You know, these thefts are going to be on the increase because people need essentials, and we're not going to make this dreadful situation better by hoovering thousands of people needlessly into the criminal justice system.
But how would you establish that, say, a couple in their 70s were stealing food or shampoo or whatever it was because they had simply got no money and they had to steal to eat? How would you establish and prove that?
Because you would speak to these people. You would, with every lawful authority, be able to look in their bags, search their pockets. Did they have car keys? If there's a £70,000 BMW in the car park, that'll give you a pretty good idea that they might not be being very truthful.
So apply common sense is what you're saying? Discretion,
as Andy Cooke, Her Majesty's Inspector, said.
Yeah, well, Leroy Logan, I mean, that's, you know, apart from Peter Bleksley saying it, the fact that the Inspectorate of Constabulary says it is pretty powerful, but you disagree.
Well, I think the point around discretion is very important. Let it be clear that we've had financial crisis of this nature before, and there's never been a suggestion that you just turn a blind eye and ignore what's going on. I think it sends a wrong signal to especially the victims. I know supermarkets, but even smaller stores who are victim to shoplifting on a regular basis. They need to know that they have something to say in this matter. So the officers should have a discretion to say, listen, this person is a real genuine case for a community resolution. And at least the victim's point of view is taken into consideration. And, of course, the wider public will understand that there's definitely a cause to use discretion.
What do you think about the use of the police caution, which isn't somebody being charged? They basically have to admit that they went into that store with the intention to leave without paying for stuff, and they get a caution for that, which is not the same as a conviction. But they have to admit that they intended to steal. Do you think that's a reasonable compromise?
A police caution requires somebody to be arrested, taken to the police station, interviewed, invariably with a solicitor being present. So the only thing that doesn't happen is that a file doesn't get sent to the CPS. That is going to hoover up tens upon thousands of police hours needlessly for what? Maybe a packet of biscuits?
My point about the community resolution is that you don't have to do that. You don't have to go to the police station. There is logging of a crime report, and of course the person's details are taken, but it's not taking them to the station and using up all that time. But it needs the victim's support of that.
But what about the stress involved? If we're talking about an elderly couple who, for reasons that they would try and justify, that they don't have the resources to buy the food that day, they're arrested, they're taken to the police station, even if it's just a caution. I mean, these are elderly people. As you say, maybe just a packet of biscuits or two. That's putting them through quite an ordeal, isn't it?
Well, hopefully the officers will be very tactful, be trauma-informed, understand the pressures that's led to those individuals. hopefully a previous good character. So they, you know, it's a genuine case. And it will be outside the public view. It should be done in their security office or where it may be. So it reduces the stress. But at least it acknowledges that they have done it reluctantly and it's a needy case.
Peter, these aren't victimless crimes.
No.
You know, of course, you want to feel compassionate for people who feel forced to do this. And, you know, goodness me, the cost of living crisis is going to really hurt people. But, of course, you've got shopkeepers, you know, corner shop owners who don't have security teams, who might feel if you send out that message that it's all right to take something, that punishes them and they're facing that cost of living crisis as well.
Corner shop owners are far more cemented in their communities than the supermarkets are. And they will know so many more of their customers. And generally speaking, they are able to exert a better grip on who comes in and who does what. And there's an element of community kind of punishment to those kids that are misbehaving themselves, or even pensioners. So they're kind of different retail outlets, very, very different. We need to use discretion here. We don't need to start needlessly bringing people into the criminal justice system, giving them bad experiences of the police. And if we do have a very draconian attitude, there will be only one result. There will be discontent, which will lead to riots on the streets of Britain this summer.
Are you worried about that, Leroy?
Of course. I mean, to be honest, police are going to be in a difficult position, just like with the COVID pandemic. They've got to be seen to be executing their powers without fear or favour, and so they've got a tricky situation. And I wouldn't be surprised central government will come up with some sort of protocol from the Home Office and say, listen, this is what we need to do. So there's a standardised approach.
Yeah.
OK, thank you both very much indeed. Well, it's divided opinion from you watching. We asked you if you think that people who steal essential items like shampoo and washing powder and food from shops should be prosecuted. Well, 45% of you said, yep, absolutely, and 55% of you said no. So a narrow majority in favour of
But a majority, nevertheless, yeah.